Hey y'all, we are live. Welcome to episode 7 of Bag Talk with JiJi. If you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you follow me at JIONNE.MC. Make sure you're also following the Bag Talk page, Bag Talk BAGTALKW.JIJI. I'm so excited for my next guest this episode, Miss Tami Latrell. Let me actually send this to her so that she doesn't have to go looking and waiting for me. This is going to be a good episode. I'm excited about this because this is one of those episodes where, I mean, all my episodes are kind of like this, but where people are going to get like a real life expert in the industry. All my guests are experts, but I think because this is mostly the business side of the industry, you know, licensing, publishing, royalties. This woman coming on tonight is doing all the things, not just educating and advocating songwriters and producers, but also providing them a service where she's kind of hands-on in the process. So this will be a definitely good one, and I'm so excited. Oh, there she is. It always takes a while for me to like accept a request from somebody, which I hate.
Hold on, let me make
Okay,
sure
girl.
this lens is clear because it
Hi,
looks fuzzy.
beautiful. Take your time. This is a
Okay,
very
hold on,
calm
mama.
space. This is not like the Jamboree. This is a very laid back.
Okay,
I've
I think that
interviewed
looks
people at
good.
it. I interviewed a DJ at a gig.
Okay, girl, just have to
Yes.
do it.
Come on here. I was struggling today. I need to wash this set. When I reached that, you know how short hair,
I
we
have
reached
never
that.
had
The
short
last
hair
days we gotta get
ever.
a wash set.
I've
She holding
never
on
like
now.
done anything to my crown outside of coloring it and like cutting it in layers, highlight.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I always think when I come out here, this is not my first time. It's a low maintenance thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna come out here, I have much to do. No, girl, I'm in that salon every
I
2 weeks
know
because I'm
that's
like, back
right, girl.
here
You gotta
needs to
keep it
look like front.
laid, honey.
It's getting crazy. It's so good to see
Go.
you. Thank you so much. I know last time we talked was through the pandemic, and I feel like the music industry landscape has changed so much. And you being an expert and a veteran,
Mhm.
I know you have so much to share. And mainly for my followers who don't know who
I
you
do.
are, and that's not good because y'all should know who she is.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. You're just sharing some gems. So we're gonna start off light. You are an established writer. You're under Sony Music Publishing. You wrote for Whitney Houston, SWV, Monica. Those are no
Yes,
ones for me
girl.
because
I
those are people
still
I still
jam me
listen to. But I
some
know the catalog. I
Monica.
go
I
to listen
still
to them.
jam me some SWV. Of course, Whitney all day when I need a little bit of entertainment. She is like,
Always. So you can just share.
yeah.
How did you get into
So
songwriting
I
and
started
your
off
first big break in the
as a
industry?
artist, the indie artist in Houston, my hometown. Um, yeah, H-Town, stand up.
Shout out
Hey.
to
I was about to start throwing up, anyway, gang signs. We're in a different time now, so you got to be careful. But but no, I started off as an indie artist in Houston. I was at the talent shows, opening acts. I was an opening act for a lot of, artists, major artists, when they had shows. I was, selling my mixtapes on college campus, high school, doing all of the performing. I was just all of that. I was singing, I was rapping, I was dancing, I just did it all. And, back then in Houston, we really didn't have as much of an artist base that we do now. Like now we got Lizzo and Normani and Megan and oh my God, the list goes on and on. Travis Scott. I mean, I could go on and on. Sauce Walker. Like it's so in H-Town. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my city. Of course, Beyonce, you know, Destiny's Child. At that time when I was coming out, it was Ghetto Boys and Destiny's Child. And like every now and then it was a sprinkle of artists that were, you know, coming up and, you know, trying to get their music out. Of course, we had the Screwed Up Clique, you know, shout out to Kiki, rest in peace, DJ Screw. Of course, you had UGK, you know, so it's like that was our culture. You know, we hadn't even had the emergence of like the Swisher House effect with Paul Wall and Cam yet. They hadn't even came on the scene yet when I was like, you know, 16, 17 years old. So, but anyway, I was, you know, hopping from venue to venue, doing different shows and stuff. And I was bringing that up that we didn't have a lot of R&B artists and stuff out there that were just really making waves, because that was one of the main reasons why I had to write my songs. You know, that was the reason why I was doing everything, because it was a necessity. I didn't have other resources where I could be like, oh, let me hire.
It was a necessity.
You know, hire a person to, you know, help with my raps and stuff like that. You know, I was literally doing it all. And I had my group of, you know, people that just kind of, you know, cultivated me, groomed me into, you know, understanding about song structure and understanding how to piece elements of a song together. And of course, just studying the greats, right? Being an R&B lover from, you know, back in the day, listening to the SOS Band and Anita Baker and Stevie Wonder, to then, you know, growing up and hearing like the new Anita Baker, which was our Anita Baker was Mary J. Blige, you know, yeah. So you know, how your mama be like, girl, I'll be cleaning to my Anita. That's cleaning up to Mary J. You know what I'm saying? Listen to the Be Happy album. We was listening to, the My Life album. Be Happy was on there. And we was listening to What's the 411, and of course Jodeci and Boys to Men, you know what I'm saying, Brandy, and it was just a plethora of just so much great R&B, right? And so yeah, I signed with this indie label, and at the time I thought it was a great decision, and fortunately things didn't go well to the point where I was just like, okay, you know what, this ain't the situation for me. I actually signed because a few of my homeboys had signed, and I just thought that was like the thing to do. But it was just too much going on. Like, they was shooting up the studio. It was just a lot going on. I didn't need to be there. You feel me? So,
oh wow.
Like, I'm in there like recording,
especially not for R&B. I ain't no hip hop artist for this drum.
You know. And so one of the songs that I wrote on my project was the song that ended up landing on Whitney Houston's album the following year after I left. And so come to find out, and just to take you in the element of the story, right? So I left the label. I'm a freshman at Texas Southern University, my alma mater. Shout out to my HBCU. And so my mom calls me and she's like, hey, Whitney Houston is on the radio singing your song. And I'm like, huh? What? Like, it was like really surreal. I didn't really understand. I was kind of happy, shocked, surprised, confused. It was just a whole, like, I had no idea until the song was on Magic 102.
You didn't get any notice that was going to happen?
So I started to do a bit of backtracking to figure out what happened. So of course I'm calling the label, I'm calling the producer that I did the song with, I'm calling, you know, the people that were around during the time I was there. And it's crickets. Nobody is telling me anything. Nobody is trying to help me out. Nobody is trying to really give me information. And to be honest, I had some people that were like, oh, well, girl, you probably just gonna have to bite that bullet. This is your introduction into the music business, you know, like really like discouraging me from trying to figure out what happened. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, but also because their thing was, well, that being just the norm, like, oh, that you have your paperwork together, like, it's okay. And I was like, yeah, I actually got my copyright for the song, because before I left the label, I had copyright. I registered all of my copyrights for my song. So yeah. And so the label didn't know. They thought that, okay, she signed off everything. She signed off her rights. Well, technically I did on the label side. You see what I'm saying? So there are two copyrights. You have the sound recording, which is owned by the record label, right? And then you have the publishing, which is the composition copyright, which is only owned by the songwriter and the producer. And
the recording is like the creation of the
sound
song
recording
you record
is
it in
the
the
actual
studio,
master.
and the composition.
That's the version that is being distributed out to the public. So that's why it's owned by the record label, because who distributes the songs? The record. They're the ones that are like, you know, new release, whoever the new artist is, right. They are owning that copyright. That's why they always pay producers to transfer the copyright over to them so that they have permission to release the song. Because technically the producer, once the song is done, the producer still holds the actual master, you know. That's why they pay the producer that fee to be able to transfer that master over to the label so that the label can then distribute it and market it and own it and make money off of it, you know? And so they were in the clear with that. They were right in that they did own the master, because that was the version that I was going to put out on my album. But they didn't own the composition. I wrote the song. So I'm still the copyright owner of the composition copyright. And so that is what gave me the leg up to be able to finally sit down with the CEO once they found out I owned the copyright to the composition. Oh, now everybody want to talk. You see what I'm saying? It went from me trying to chase people down to crickets and crickets to, oh, let's meet. We need to talk about this now because the song is already out and I got to get the paperwork solidified. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we finally met, and I was able to get my 33 1/3% share of ownership for the song for Whitney Houston. The name of the song is called What You're Looking At. It did, you know, for overseas, it did really well. Diddy also did a remix to it. And then here it went platinum as well. The whole entire album went platinum. So that was my introduction. I was only 18 years old. I wrote the.
Wow. But that's not pretty bad, because you had the paperwork, so it's not like they totally stole the song.
And I had no idea that it would be the foundation for where I am today, right?
I was gonna ask that.
Because I remember my story, and then unfortunately, a lot of the stories that have, you know, been brought to me from people asking for my help to, you know, help them get their business straight. It doesn't end that way. It's to the point where they didn't have their ownership for composition. So therefore, they weren't able to get any royalties at all. They weren't able to go and sit with the CEO and amicably come up with something. It just, it didn't happen like that. So, you know, because there are not many stories where people have actually taken care of their business, I make it my mission. You know, it's a passion project for me. It is like completely, you know, something that I just light up inside when I'm talking about the importance of having your business together, the importance of making sure that, you know, your split sheets are done, and that, you know, while you're shopping records, trying to get an opportunity, that you are walking around protected, not just out here just sending your records out and, you know, not really having any type of track of, you know, what's going on with your songs, because that is primarily the reason why so many people get taken advantage of. This is they just they don't know. And, you know, I get it, because it's not like the information back then, especially now you can literally Google whatever it is you're looking for. And Instagram and all these other social media platforms have done a great job with allowing influencers and educators and people like myself that are public figures that are out here with a real mission and purpose to teach the business. The social media platforms have definitely created that to make it easier, make the process of teaching easier. However, back in the day, we didn't have that. And so you have a lot of people who come in and they're super creative, but they don't know the business. And so, you know, I've just been really on a mission to make sure that as we have evolved, as creators, we also have to understand you cannot stay the same and just be a creator. You have to put a little bit of that business cap on. And and if you know, I'm not expecting anybody to be a super expert, but at least be familiar with the terminology, and then find someone who can represent you, or find someone that knows the business and is passionate about it, in the areas that you may not be, just so you have that support. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, IEU. So this is perfect because this one question you opened up a door to and answer a bunch of other questions I had. But I want to pivot back. So the Mezzo agency, for those who probably don't know, if you could just list
Yes.
some of the services
It's
that your agency provides for artists,
all-in-one,
songwriters,
one-stop
producers.
shop.
It's like a one-stop shop,
So
right?
proud of the company. So we initially started off as just a publishing administration company. We were just finding unclaimed royalties for songwriters and producers. We were making sure that if they did have songs that were, generating money, that, we were filing claims on their behalf and collecting that money for them. And then, of course, paying them out quarterly. What I started running into is that a lot of the writers and producers that were on our roster, in addition to other writers who were just inquiring about help, they did not have their songs copywritten. They didn't have the copyright. They had catalogs that were all over the place. So they had their email, they have songs on their Dropbox, they got songs on their phone, in their text messages. They have no metadata. So they don't know the ISRCs for their songs, which is how we track the royalties, right? And so there were just a few things that they would inquire about. They didn't have a publishing company. So because they didn't have a publishing company or an administrator, of course, you're not collecting all your royalties and you're just waiting around for BMI and ASCAP checks. But we know BMI only collects, they don't collect your mechanicals, right? They collect your digital streaming on the master. And so what happens is, if they don't know, then I'm like, okay, well, who's going to teach them? Me. But then who's also going to set this up for them? Because a lot of them don't even know how to get started. They don't know where to go and so forth. So I really just found myself offering these one-off a la carte services where we were, hey, let's go ahead and register your works in bulk and save you some money. Let's go ahead and organize your catalog for you so that your songs are all in one place.
Right.
Case, and they're not like over here in your phone and over here in your Dropbox and over here in your emails. Let's set up your business let's set up your publishing company as an entity, so that you can have a bit of a tax break, right? And so you can write off all of your expenses when you're traveling and when you're buying new equipment and everything that comes with this lifestyle as a music creator. Let's set you up. Let's also register you with BMI or ASCAP. If you're a songwriter or producer and you're not affiliated with a PRO, you're not going to generate you're going to generate money, but you're not going to be able to collect the money at all, especially on the So we just found ourselves helping our roster, and then it became, oh, I need to refer my producer because I just did a song and he don't even have his BMI account, so then everybody it just became like,
there's just money out there that they're not collecting.
I mean, 2021, the Mezzo exploded. The Mezzo grew so fast that I didn't even really have a full staff. I had to hurry up and hire people because once we got an office and opened the doors, people were showing up, booking those discovery calls. We call them free music business assessments. They were coming in by the droves. And I really was like, oh my God, this is a need that the music community has, and it needs to be fulfilled. And so it's just been a blessing. This ride has been, definitely ups and downs, a few struggles, just because when you're in the music industry and you're doing something disruptive and new and innovative that, is not really anywhere else, you're literally creating something that with no blueprint,
right.
And so while
You're fine.
while I still was trying to learn the business of publishing, right? And
You're good.
sorry about that. But I was still learning the business of publishing collection, like, pulling in the royalties, making sure I'm reaching out to the right territories, making sure that everything is coming in for our writers and producers. But I still needed to set certain things up in order to get the money. So maybe they didn't have a sound exchange account. So we have to set the sound exchange account up before we start collecting that sound exchange money. And so you just, before you know it, it's like a snowball effect of all these different services. And I was like, we have to offer this. So our business model had to evolve. It had to change from just publishing administration to now we're a full service music administration company. Mm-hmm. We can help you on the master side. If you're the record label or you're an indie label and you have artists and you have writers that you have, or, you know, on the publishing side, if you are a songwriter or a producer, publisher working on the back end and just, you know, focus on the creation of records, right? And so it has been such a joy to be able to evolve and see this company grow. And, you know, I've hired a great team now. And, you know, we've scaled back a lot to really, really focus on just collection and music administration. And doing workshops and empowerment. And that has been like the main thing. So it's such a joy. And I'm just so grateful to be able to, you know, walk in my purpose and, you know, yes. Just creators.
Do you think the boom is because, you know, streaming platforms are blowing up and more artists want to be independent now? Do you think that's why the boom came and they're like, okay, now I really got to get my business ordered? Because I feel like most people that I've encountered want to be an artist because they want the lifestyle, the money, yeah. And if a label comes to them, then they're signing and not even reading what they're signing. But now they're being independent. I think more people are more that they're taking initiative to want to know the business side so that they can have their ducks in a row.
Yes. And shout out to every single influencer, public figure, celebrity who has ever done any interviews or videos to help teach the business. You know, I try to share as much as I can. I'm not really on social media all the time because of course I'm working, but right. Anytime I see some good gems being dropped, you know, it doesn't always have to come from me. I'm gonna share it because we have to educate the music community. And I think the boom came from the access, right now you and I can collaborate on a record. You can come up with some lyrics, I can sing the lyrics and add my little, you know, 2-piece. We can pull in another producer and we can go straight online, set up with a distribution aggregator and put a single out. You know, we can go into Canva and create our own cover art. Mm-hmm. And, you know, pretty much do everything. As long as we have that MP3 file or the WAV file, we have a nice little mix or whatever. There's no limit to us actually going online right now and becoming a duo, if that's what we want to do. Okay. So it's the access that has created the opportunity for songwriters and producers and independent artists to get their music heard, to get their music streaming on these platforms. Now we're up to 100,000 songs being released a week.
Wow.
Digital streaming. It's heavily overly saturated. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is when you have so many creators that are out here putting out music and the metadata is wrong or incomplete, or the songs are not protected, you know, it increases the liability and it increases the vulnerability of these creators. And so, you know, it's so important that, you know, we as educators empower, you know, if we're empowering or teaching the business, and even just me being a publishing administrator, like I don't take it lightly, you know, and it's
a needed thing. It's needed.
It's so needed. It's so needed because, you know, unfortunately, although the song doesn't, you know, the song doesn't generate any money without the songwriters and the producers first, you know, like in other words, we are the foundation, the starting point. Mm-hmm. However, we are the least respected. Okay. And it's hard for us to find the information that we need in order to get paid because no one is out there. Well, I won't say no one, but back in the day, there was not a lot of access to the resources or the education to get paid. Mm-hmm. Right. Kind of like, you know, if you know, you know. Yeah. So it's just a horrible mentality. It's just a horrible mentality. You know, music is, you know, such a, it's everything. It empowers us. It comforts us. In our worst days, we get through healing through music.
Oh, yeah. My playlist is nothing but 90s and R&B, and I listen to it over and over, do my makeup to it. Yeah. Don't care. I have no idea what the music of today is like because I'm stuck in 90s. I go even further back. The Stylistics, Diana Ross, I go back.
We are the least, songwriters and producers are the least supported, the least represented, and we are the genesis of the creation of the song.
Do you believe songwriters have to be an artist of their music to even be recognized? Because like Mooney Long, I didn't know she wrote for so many other people before her song Hours and Hours boomed. And I'm like, well, why was she not already doing her music?
Let me tell you.
Do you think it's because she wasn't respected? It's like, let me sing my own stuff.
She wasn't respected as an artist because she was already an artist prior to. She was respected, highly criticized, extremely talented and extraordinary, but didn't quote unquote fit the norm of what these labels back in the day so-called wanted. And
think we want it.
Yeah, think we want it, right? But she's very wise. Waited her turn. She, rebranded herself, and she did it independently without the backing of a whole, major label like she had before. And you can't do nothing but respect that. Like Crown, okay? She is straight queening it right now. And, I have yet to have a chance to meet her. I've talked to her briefly, just leaving comments and stuff on social, but I'm so proud of her, and I think she's extraordinary. And she proves that, not giving up, it works if you continue to stay persistent in what it is that you believe, and whatever your dream is, you stay within the pocket of that and don't let up, and I just love her. I just think she's amazing. And yes, songwriters don't get appreciated. And because of that, a lot of them, were artists first. Like I was an artist and just ended up walking into the world of songwriting because of Whitney's situation. But a lot of us sometimes don't have a choice to where we're doing both. Think about the songwriters or the artists that are in like your small towns where they don't have access to like bigger artists to shop their music to. They have no choice but to do it on their own. And so that's how it ends up happening, where it's like, oh my God, I sound kind of good and I'm writing my stuff and I'm up here performing my stuff. And okay, well, I'm an artist now. Right. You see what I'm saying? So I think, the technology obviously has advanced us to where we have, like I said, so much access. But I think she is the perfect model of, being able to get heads down, regardless of what people may have said about her or didn't support her at that time. She never let up, and she worked as a songwriter, built up her net worth, okay? Got her money right, to where no one could control the moves that she was going to make, later on. And now, she's blossomed into, an amazing, artist. Definitely. In addition to already being an incredible writer.
Shout out to Mooney Long. I want to pivot. So let's say I'm an artist, songwriter, producer. I have I don't know anything about the music industry, but I'm creating all this music. What are the steps I should be taking to protect my music if I'm going to eventually walk into a label and say, hey, this is what I have?
Yeah,
even selling it to artists.
Yeah, the first thing you want to do is, you definitely need to reach out to the Mezzo agency and just let them know your situation. We have free music business assessments that are free to any music creator, as long as you can book a slot on the calendar. We always full, but whatever is open, if you can get it, book it. And let, our team of music industry professionals walk you through your assessment, and that starts with, understanding the copyrights, understanding your rights, understanding, what splits are, split shares, a split sheet, making sure that when you're in the studio collaborating with other producers and songwriters, that you guys are getting documentation of who has contributed what. Even if it's not on necessarily on a split sheet, there needs to be an email, a text message, some type of documentation where everyone collectively has agreed to who has contributed what on the song. Because you never know, that song, y'all walked away with the demo, but then it lands into an A&R's hands, and now the A&R brings it to a label, and the label wants to add the artist on there, and they want the artist to write, or they want to bring in another co-writer. All that, before you know it, the song is totally different compared to the way it sounded when you first initially collaborated in the studio. But if you don't have any track record, you don't have any documentation, then it's just hearsay. And then people forget that they were in the studio with you. and you contributed to this. You wrote the hook or you wrote the bridge. Oh, girl, it's like crazy. People get amnesia. Okay.
Is there a way to like? I know you've had success stories, but for those who probably didn't have the copyright, there's still a way to recover their royalties, or it's just like you have to give them that email. No, sorry, we couldn't do it.
Yeah, no. So the good thing is, anytime you have an actual tangible form of work. So let's say, for instance, like I said, me and you, we doing that demo, girl. I mean, that duo. How you doing? Yeah, you can come in and change it. Thank you. Custodians in. But anytime, like if you and I were going, at it, and we're gonna be a duo and we're in the studio, from the time we actually finish that record and export it out of the session, that is the copyright. That is it's a tangible form of work, a body of work that you and I collaborated on. The difference is if your work is infringed. So let's say, for instance, we found out someone took our hook, or took a portion of our song and created another hook for their song. And of course, we didn't know about it until we found out it was streaming. And now we're trying to track them down and see who they're signed to and all that stuff, and get in touch with them and let them know, hey, this is copyright infringement. The copyright itself, that tangible form of work, allows us to be able to have a case. However, we cannot sue for the maximum, which is like up to $160,000. Okay. Of royalties. We can't sue for the maximum if we do not have that official document of certificate of registration. So that is why we strongly suggest, even if you're doing it once a quarter, all their songs that you've written in the last 3 to 4 months, let's go ahead and combine them and put them in a volume and send them off so that you have them linked to a certificate of registration. That way, should anything happen, you actually have the paperwork that proves to the courts that you've done your due diligence to protect your body of work. So that's why that's important. That's why, making sure that the copyright is done, the copyright registration is done in addition to the actual song itself. You can create songs all day, but if you don't have the actual registration, then something happens and you can only sue for so much. You can probably get like your points and percentage, but you got to consider the fact that you're going to have to hire an attorney. You're going to have to, go through a whole discovery. Sometimes it takes more money. And if you can't sue for the maximum, all of that is going to be coming out of your pocket, and you may not be able to walk away, better off. Some people end up suing, and because they don't have everything, they end up in more debt, waiting for royalties to come in, which we know are quarterly. So you're not going to get all that money up front just to try to, pay off what you owe to your attorney for representing you in your case.
Someone asks, can you do 100 songs at once, or every song has to be done individually? You
can do up to 10. On the sound recording side, you can actually do up to 20.
Oh, wow.
So on the musician side, you can do up to 10 in bulk. It's called a bulk registration.
There are different types of royalties, right?
Yes.
Like, so what are the different royalties available to artists? It's a whole bunch. You have to go through it all.
Now, since songs are, since we have this whole streaming universe of ours,
right?
There's so many different royalties that come in now, but the main categories, I should say, is your mechanicals, right? So you have mechanical royalties. These are the royalties that are generated based off of sales. It used to be physical sales, but since we don't have physical CDs anymore, cassette tapes, vinyl as much, people are not buying that anymore as much as they used to. They don't consume music that way anymore. So now we have digital mechanicals, right? So anytime a song is being streamed after 1,200 streams, then it automatically converts to one sale. And so that sale is then a mechanical royalty. And we also have performance royalties. And those are the royalties that I was mentioning that's coming from BMI or ASCAP. These royalties typically came from when songs were being played on the radio. That is considered a performance, right? And so that performance of that song being played on the radio generates a performance royalty. But also, if the song is being performed live, you see what I'm saying? That's performance. So if you're performing at a venue like Center Stage is affiliated with ASCAP and BMI, to where they have to pay royalties out anytime people come and perform on stage, as long as you turn in your set list. And then also, because we have these streaming apps now, the streams also generate a performance royalty. They generate a mechanical as well, but they also generate a performance royalty because it's being publicly played on a device, just like when you're in the mall and you're shopping, right? The songs are being publicly played in the store. And so that generates a performance royalty as well. And then, of course, we have, YouTube royalties. We call them micro sync royalties. Anytime audio paired with visual, that is called a micro sync royalty. And mechanical and performance royalties come from those as well. We also have international royalties. Those are royalties coming in, obviously, from different territories that we collect. And then we also have print royalties. Print royalties is like the sheet music. So say, for instance, that song that you and I wrote, and now because the song has done so well, maybe there's a church or maybe there's a school that wants to perform the song at one of their upcoming concerts or recitals. Well, usually they'll go to a publisher's website to download the songs, the actual sheet music, so that they can learn it, play it, play on the piano. And so when they download that sheet music, they have to pay out the composition, the owners of the composition, which is the songwriter, the producer, and the publisher. So you just have all of those royalties from different ways people consume music, right? And then on the master side, you have the actual recording royalties that are coming in that go directly to the label. So that's anytime people are streaming your music, that's generating a royalty off the master. But then you also have digital streaming performance royalties that are coming in from your non-interactive radio, like Pandora, XM satellite radio, all these internet radio stations that are, and you can't manipulate the playlist. Those are, generated on the master recording, and you're able to get money off that if you're the performer or if you own the record label.
Okay.
So
oh wow,
it's so many royalties. Like when we're pulling in royalties on a quarterly basis for our writers, I mean, we have to separate them out. Each royalty that comes in, we have to separate them out so that when they log into their royalty portal, they're able to see, okay, I will receive this amount in mechanicals, I received this amount in performance, I received this amount in print, this came in international, this came from YouTube. It shows everything from where it came from. That's a part of, sourcing, how you're making money, where your songs are being played, what's the most popular place that they're generating, revenue. And so, and one more thing I forgot to mention on the publishing side, because we talked about the mechanical, the performance royalty, the YouTube royalties, the international royalties, the print royalties, but also the digital streaming royalties that are coming in from Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon. That is
because I have friends who are artists, and I would like play their music all day and go to sleep because I'm like, I hope you get paid from this.
Yes. They're generating both a mechanical and a performance royalty from those digital streaming royalties. So you just got this one bucket of like all these royalties coming in from these streaming providers. And then it has to be divvied up based on whether or not it's a performance or it's a mechanical. So, there's so much money out there, so much unclaimed money out there, which is, why we're in business. But at the same time, it's imperative that writers and producers understand the importance of having your business in order so that you can collect should money come in.
Is there a certain number of percentage that they should be getting? Like, how does someone know that they're being fairly compensated when they get like their reports?
Well, when you and I, because, I'm going to use us all day, right? And we brought in a producer. Okay. So you and I are collaborating on one song. Let's just do 100% pie. Okay. So that with me, we have 100% pie, which encompasses one full song. That includes the music, that includes the writing. Okay. So you and I have contributed to the writing. So we automatically are going to get 50% of that record that's allotted, of that song, of that composition that's allotted to us as writers. The other 50% is going to be for the producer who actually composed the music. So if you collaborated from beginning to end on this song, from the time we got in the studio and came up with this concept, then you and I will split that 50%. And so you'll get 25 and I get 25%. Okay. Right? So the royalties will reflect that, because what we do once we sign our writers and producers and get them on board into our system, we actually build their entire catalog, and we continue to add to that catalog of every song, all the metadata, all the writers involved, what are their IPI numbers that are with their PROs like BMI, ASCAP, what's their split ownership percentage, what's the ISRC that's tracking the actual song so we can go after the royalties. All of that data is compiled for each and every one of our writers and producers. And then we import that data into our royalty software so that when the money comes in, it automatically is going to compute based off of what their share is per song.
How do you and your team stay up to date with the trends of like the ever-changing music industry? Because I feel like royalties was one thing, as you said, but then with the Spotify, all these different distribution platforms, how are you guys staying up to date?
The good thing is we don't necessarily have to work directly with the distributors because we are partnered with the MLC. The MLC handles all of the heavy lifting from all the DSPs, like your Spotify, your titles and all that. So when that money comes in, then it goes to MLC, and then MLC divvies it out based on the publishers, right? And so we our writers and producers behalf. But I stay on trends because I'm completely obsessed with the business. So I'm on Music Business Worldwide. I'm on digitalmusicnews.com. I'm on billboardpro.com. So I'm getting all the news and the breakdowns. In addition to some of the blogs that I follow on YouTube, the vloggers that I follow on YouTube. And then, you know, I'm a part of so many different organizations, from AIMP, in Nashville, the Nashville chapter. Of course, I'm a part of the Recording Academy here. I serve as the governor and the co-chair of the advocacy committee, as well as membership and so forth. So I just stay immersed in the business. And then a lot of times, because we're doing negotiations on, you know, writer fees, we're doing negotiations on production deals, we're doing negotiations and conflict resolution, because maybe, you know, one of our writers is caught up in a dispute because this producer is claiming more than they should. And, you know, maybe there's a mix up because the splits weren't done properly the first time. So before you know it, you end up building a network with all of these other publishers and record labels and licensing companies and so forth. And I forgot to mention about licensing fees too. That's not considered a royalty, but it is a part of the income from off of the composition and the master too. So that's additional money that comes in addition to the royalties. But yeah, before you know it, you start building just a network of so many other producers, songwriters, then the labels, the publishing companies that, you know, all work together to get these songs cleared and to get the splits organized and cleared up, because those songs can be in dispute and nobody gets paid, you know? So when you build that type of network, that's when you start finding out what's going on really, like behind the scenes, you know?
Can you tell us what's going on with Nielsen SoundScan? I've been trying to register my songs, but their site isn't working.
Yeah, so they've actually merged. They went over into, I think Mediabase actually merged with them. So you can't just go on there and register your songs. You either have to go through an administrator, or you have to set up an account with Mediabase and submit the songs in the particular way that they're asking. It's totally different now. Usually you can just log on and they'll give you instruction to send an email to this email with all of your songs in that email, either in the Dropbox or, you know, some type of link. But now they're wanting you to follow the instructions specifically, you know, the new way that they're doing it. So Nielsen and SoundScan, for those who don't know, is the company that is out there tracking the actual spins on radio, in addition to the sales that are going up the Billboard charts. And that's how people actually chart on Billboard, is through actual streams and sales.
So if you want to register your songs, hire Tami.
Exactly. So hire us. You can go to mezzoagency.com/services and click on radio registration, and boom, we'll take care of you. We'll register you with Nielsen, SoundScan, Mediabase, as well as Grace Note.
Well, you answered, I had like a list of questions, and you literally knocked this interview out the ballpark.
You know, I mean, I talk about this so much, so it's kind of like
it's the second nature.
Yeah.
So any final advice for musicians trying to get into the industry, as far as like the business side?
The business side, I would say, you know, don't be hard on yourself if you don't understand the business. Just really lock in and do the research. Again, I'm not expecting music creators to become music business professionals. It's a difference. But I do expect you to care enough to get the help, to get the support. And, you know, hey, if you don't have anyone in your local area to go to, just reach out to the Mezzo Agency. Call us. Our number is 1-888-413-4828. We will either direct you to schedule a free music business assessment to go over your catalog and see what's really going on, what you have, what you don't have, what you need. Or you may have to book a paid consultation because maybe you have a bigger situation that requires more. And so those paid consultations, of course, are either with me or with one of my other music industry professionals that's able to help you and walk you through the steps that need to be done. I mean, we've had some people to come to us and say, hey, you know, I got a song at the top of the music business. I mean, the Billboard charts. I've yet to be paid for it. They, you know, never contacted me, or I fell out of contact with the producer, so I didn't even know the song was, you know, was out, and I need help shutting money down. The royalties, I never received a production fee, whatever. Like, they come to us with all different types of scenarios sometimes, and we have to have a more in-depth talk. That's not a free call. That's like, look, book a consultation.
Yeah, the money is worth it to spend now, because you'll get it back, because you guys are putting money in everyone's pockets, honestly.
Yeah, it's just so many different scenarios. I've had labels who have come to us and just, you know, they paid for a consultation for me to sit down and do a whole audit on their catalog because they just didn't know the business. They had the money, right? They had to do the marketing and the promo, but they didn't realize they have to pay out producers. You know, on the public, they have to pay out producers on the master royalty, and none of that was done. You know, they maybe wanted to pull all of their songs from one distributor and then move it over to another distributor. Well, you have to have a company like us that knows and understands metadata. We know how to transfer all of that information over. And so, you know, it is a specialty. You know, we are definitely in a niche market where a lot of people don't understand the complexities of what we do, but we're very good at it. You can look at our reviews on Google, even reviews on my Instagram, on the Mezzo Instagram as well. Like, you know, we are very good at what we do, and that's why we're still in business.
I've always said, as much as I love the music industry, I am in I am in TV and film. I'm a legal assistant for BET, and I stay there because it's not as complex as the music industry. Yeah, it's, you know, a lot to unpack.
The music doesn't have any rules. I mean, people literally can just do what they want. There's nobody being held accountable when they're taking advantage of music creators. You know, there's nobody being, you know, there's no book. I mean, of course, we have, you know, our Donald Passman, you know, our Donald Passman book, right? All you need to know about the music business. And I got another book over here. Let me see. Everything.
Write them titles down.
Better know about the music business. This is Kashif. I mean, I got books for days, right? Start and run your own record label. You know, like I'm a student. Sometimes I have to crack the book open and be like, okay, yeah, I know I was right, or I didn't even know this. You know. So, you know, we never stop learning. And so
you have to want to learn. I don't understand people who want to get into these industries and don't want to do their own research just so they have like a foundation understanding, so they won't be taken advantage of in the beginning.
Exactly. And see, because there was not a quote unquote rule, right, of how everything needs to go, these authors have taken their time to give you what methods are currently being practiced so that you can also practice them in your business. And so, you know, however, like I said, there's no, we don't have like the FTC over us, you know, we don't have like a coalition of like, you know, major publishers that are, you know, in conjunction with something in the government that's going to hold these companies liable or hold someone liable when things are not taken care of. And so therefore, if you don't have an admin who understands the business, if you don't have, you know, a great attorney on the entertainment side who has worked or partnered with an admin like we do. A lot of attorneys partner with us because they get the clients coming in with the questions, but they don't do admin, you know, handling cases. They're handling, you know, major deals. And so they hire an admin to make sure that all of that is taken care of for their clients, you know. So if you don't have that, and you're just, you know, being creative and putting your music out and being careless and just hoping that an opportunity, you know, comes along, baby, you got a lot of competition out here now, because it's not just you. It's like 100,000 of you releasing songs every single week. So it's going to stand out, and how is your music going to be protected? And that's the main thing that I stress, you know, and that we work so hard for when we're teaching and doing these empowerment workshops. really helping them understand, look, you just can't be creative anymore. You have to have a desire to understand a little bit of the business. And if you can't do it on your own, stop by the Mezzo agency and we'll take care of you.
You mentioned like your agency has a lot of programs and initiatives. Are these virtual or are these like in-person workshops?
So of course, when the pandemic hit, we were completely virtual. But last year we started out, we started off with our Your Music, Your Money series. We kicked that off earlier in the year in 2021. Once we got into the first office, and then we moved over to Buckhead and we did our last 2 Your Music, Your Money series here as well. So, we had Lachelle from Empire Publishing came over and spoke with a group of producers and songwriters. And one thing I love about our events, they're so intimate, and, writers and producers don't feel so like, scared to talk to each other. They're like really networking and, just building relationship and building community, while at the same time, right, they're learning and they're walking away with value, in addition to learning about our agency, because a lot of people just like, man, I didn't even know y'all existed. I should have came last year. I had no idea. So we love doing those events. And as a matter of fact, earlier today, I was talking to a partner of mine. We're getting ready to start releasing all of the upcoming events that'll be coming starting in the spring, and that will be kicking off. Your Music, Your Money is coming back. It's a great series.
I need to come to New York. I got a whole bunch of artists. I'm
but we really do. We do need to come to New York. I really want to do a tour, because I've gotten a few phone calls, especially from different attorneys who are like, Tami, we need you in Fort Lauderdale. Please open up an office out here. Please open up an office in LA. Please open up, an office in Houston, my hometown. So I'm working right now. I've had to scale back on, so many other things that we were doing, because I really want to focus on just, mastering and constantly turning over, a great series of education. That way we have that ongoing all the time. And then we're also, really focusing on creative this year as well. We've landed some big placements on the licensing side. I've just been so excited about everything that's been happening from there as well. So, but we want to scale the business. We understand that there is a need, not just in it, but definitely across the entire country. And so, we're working towards that.
Hell, international too. Shoot.
Okay. Shout out to 3 of our producers. We got Spotless in Nigeria. We got Scorpion, in Ghana. And we also have Boogie Fresh in Senegal. So we have international writers and producers. Spotless produced for Wizkid. Scorpion, he's had, songs and stuff placed with Y2. He used to before he got his pub deal. So, we're just working and we're building. We're a small group, a small team, but we've done some big things.
This is important.
Yeah, I mean, to date, with our last distribution, we're at $780,000 distributed that were unclaimed, that our writers did not know that they had out there. So, we've been working and heads down with it, staying focused on what our goals are, and we have a lot of songwriters and producers that are happy and that are getting paid every quarter.
I really love hearing you talk about this, because I can see the passion. When I created this series, my whole thing was I want to bring experts here. The reason I did Instagram Live, because it's so intimate, and I want to give people the opportunity to ask the questions, as opposed to a podcast and then I drop the recording and people still have questions. I want them to have the opportunity to ask these questions here. And when I thought about the people I want to have on, the other people I thought about, but you mainly, because I remember interviewing you and seeing how the music industry is changing. I'm like, she's not just someone who educates and advocates, but you're hands-on in the process. You have a resume where you're actually doing these things. You're not just talking about it, because we have a whole world of entrepreneurs coming on Instagram, sharing their expertise, but don't have like any type of nothing to show for it. So I really appreciate you coming on here, sharing these gems. I cannot wait to post this, because I just know somebody's going to see this and they're going to be like, I need to hook you up. So let the people know where to find you.
Yes. If there were any questions, if I missed it, I'm definitely open to answering any questions. I know we've just been kind of talking and having some good dialogue, but I definitely am open if any of your watchers have any questions. But yeah, so you guys can follow me on Tami Latrell on all social media, TamiLatrell, from YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then also the Mezzo agency, MEZZO agency on all social media. So we're pretty simple and easy to find. And yeah, that's where you guys can find me. And if anyone wants to book a direct one-on-one consultation with me, they can just click the link in my bio, and I'll be looking forward to meeting with you soon.
And find a slot. I don't care if the slot is in 2 months. Get that slot because it's going to be worth it. Thank you so much. I'm going to email you because I definitely want to send you something as a token of my appreciation for coming on here. Shout out to
because our last interview was so dope, JiJi. Like we were talking like we knew each other. Like
I remember.
Like, hey girl, we was talking about hair and stuff. So I'm just happy that, to see that you're still flourishing, you're growing.
Thank you.
I'm all about supporting other women of color, who are out here making moves. And so I salute you. And anytime you need me, please let me know.
Thank you so much. And I hope you have an amazing night. We're going to be in touch, girl.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was amazing. Oh my God, thank you guys for tuning in. She's so dope. I love it. If you're not following me already, please follow me at JIONNE.MC. That's my personal page. Make sure you're following the Bag Talk with JiJi series page. I'm gonna have some more guests. Next week I have another person coming on who is in the A&R space of the industry. So this is for the A&R people, but this one was definitely needed because I'm not an artist, but I know some people who would appreciate this because you guys need to protect your music. And I love it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.